Year 6 and welcome to Friday's maths lesson. It is Friday, happy Friday, last maths lesson of the week. So you've been doing really well with your multiplication, really impressed with all the work that I have seen. You've done an absolutely brilliant job. Okay, long multiplication is really tricky that you did yesterday. My top tip that I noticed from marking your work is making sure that you put the 0 in to hold the place when you are multiplying by the tens. You've done a brilliant job, so well done. So we're moving on from multiplication today. We're going to be using division methods today, and it's page 14 in your Year 6 book. Okay, so we are going to do a little starter again, the QR code again, but if you can't scan it, then you can just type in top marks daily 10. It's slightly different what I want you to do today, so I'm just going to show you. So when you get this screen, okay, you can play game. So it comes up with this, choose your level, and I want you to choose division today. Okay, so you might have a go at the multiplication just to get your brains going, but I really want you to have a look at the division. And I want you to focus today here, so tables up to 7, I want you to focus on dividing by 7, okay? So it's the 7 times table I want you to look at for the first section of your work. Okay, so this will really help you. You might want to have a go at the multiplication facts first to get your brain going, but then I want you to have a look at the division facts. Okay, choose your time. Okay, and then answer all of your questions. So 56 divided by 7 will be 8. 35 divided by 7 would be 5. So write them all down in your purple book. And then when you've answered all the questions, remember it gets to the screen where you click on and it gives you all of the answers so that you can mark and see how you've done. Okay, so the division facts for the 7s will really help you with this first section. Okay, so have a couple of games of that. Okay, then mark it in your book. So you might want to have a few games until you feel a little bit more confident with the division facts for the 7s. Okay, so when you have done that, I'm going to move on. So I'm not going to really go through this top bit. Just exactly what you've been doing. So it says make each number 7 times smaller. So that all that means is divide it by 7. Okay, so you might want to even write on it divide by 7. So 28 divided by 7, and you would put your answer. So that would be 4. So you've just got to divide all of those by 7 because division is making it smaller. Okay, so I'm not going to go through that first section because I think you'll be fine with that. Okay, so today's learning then. So the next bit that you've got to look at is these. You've got a table. I just want to go through how to fill these in. The first one is dividing by 10 and the second one is dividing by 100. Okay, so all you are doing is counting in your tens, but you've also got to put the remainder in. Okay, now you don't need to do a bus stop for this. Okay, so I know you'd be tempted to do a bus stop, but you don't need to because it's dividing by 10 and 100. Okay, so you also, some of you might think, oh, I'll do a place value. You don't actually really need to do that today either. Okay, so I can see here, so I've got 338 divided by 10, and I'm going to have a remainder. To divide it exactly by 10, it'd have to have a 0 on the end. Okay, so it will not divide exactly, so I'm going to have a remainder. So remember that, to divide exactly by 10, it would have a 0 on the end. Okay, so I'm going to have a remainder. So I'm going to see how many tens. So I'm going to ignore the 8 for a minute because I know that's going to be my remainder. Because remember, it would have to have 0 in to divide exactly by 10. So I'm going to put that as my remainder. And then I'm going to see how many tens in 330. Okay, now because it's 3, I'm going to think about it as 330. Tens into 300 would be 30. Yes, because 30 times 10 will be 300. And then tens into 3 would be 3. Okay, so tens into 300 would be 30, and tens into 30 would be 3. So it'd be 33 remainder 8, and you might start to see a little pattern. Okay, so if I do another one with you, okay, so I'm going to have this as my remainder, and then I can see that there would be 40 tens in 400 and 5 tens in 50. So can you see the pattern? For this one's 33 remainder 8, this one's 45 remainder 1. See if you can pause the video and have a go at 789 divided by 10 and 134 divided by 10. Okay, so pause the video now and then I'll go through it with you. Right, so you should have had a go at these two now in your purple book. So this one then would be, out of the way, this one would be 78 remainder 9, okay, because the ones would be my remainder, and then you've got 78 tens, okay? Then this one would be 13 remainder 4, okay? So you can pause the video if you want to now, while this is fresh in your mind, and fill in this one because it's exactly the same, okay? So you could fill in 2A because it's exactly the same as the one we've just done together, okay? Right, the second one then, this time you're dividing by 100. You don't need a bus stop, you don't need to do any of that. So this time I've got to do divided by 100, so 779 divided by 100. So I've got to see how many hundreds go into that. Now, for it to be exact, I'd have to have 2 zeros on the end. Okay, so this is going to be my remainder, 79. So now all I need to do is see how many hundreds go into 700. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 7. So 7 hundreds go into 779 with 79 left over. Okay, so if I do another one, so this would be my remainder, my tens and my ones. Because I know it's not going to go exactly into it because I haven't got any zeros at the end. And then how many hundreds into 500? 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. So it will be 5. So again, I want you to pause the video and I want you to have a go at 268 divided by 100 and 456 divided by 100. Okay, so pause it now. Right, so you should have had a go at those ones in your purple book. So for this one, it would be 2 remainder 68. And for this one, it would be 4 remainder 56. Okay, so you might want to now go to your book and complete 2B. Okay, so 2B you can complete. Okay, just like the ones we've just done together on the board. Okay, so your next section then, I'm just going to show you a couple of examples for that one. So, you have got some missing number problems, okay? And you're going to use a few of the strategies that we've looked at this week, okay? So I'm going to go through a couple with you to help you, okay? And then they're really similar to the ones that you've got in your book. So I'm going to go through them with you. I'm going to go through one, you can have a go. And then when you come across one like that in your book, you'll be able to do it, okay? So for this one, so I've got 240 divided by something is 40. Now, if you've got a missing number in the middle, this is how you're going to do it, okay? So I've got 240 divided by something is 40, okay? So I'm going to do 24 divided by 4, okay? So if you've got a missing number in the middle, you can knock the zeros off and do 24 divided by 4, okay? So 24 divided by 4, I know using my times tables is 6. Okay, so I know that 6, so let's just check it now. So I'm going to use the inverse to check it. So multiplication is the inverse. So I'm going to do 6 times 4 is 24, put my 0 back on is 240, okay? So have a little go at this one. Knock your zeros off, so you'll do 35 divided by 7, and that will be your answer in the middle. And then check it by doing your answer multiplied by 70. Okay, so pause the video now. Right, so you should have had a go at this one. So I know that 35 divided by 7 is 5. Okay, and to check it, I'm going to do 5 times 7, which I know is 35, and put my 0 back on, so I know I've got it right. Okay, so that's how you work it out if you've got a number missing in the middle. Okay, so the next one then. If you've got a number missing at the beginning, you've got to use the inverse. Okay, so you're going to use multiplication. Okay, so I know that something, so it's got to be a bigger number here. That's why I'm going to multiply to find the missing number. Okay, so I know it's going to be a bigger number here. So something divided by 6 is 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. Okay, so I know my strategies for doing that. I'm going to get rid of the zeros, do 6 times 1, which is 6, and then put my zeros back on. Okay, so 600 divided by 6 is 100. Okay, I can check that by covering the zeros. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and put 2 zeros back on. Okay, so I want you to have a look at this one now. So something divided by 5 is 20. Okay, so you've got to use the inverse. So have a look at these and multiply them. So pause it now and have a go. Okay, so you should have had a go at that one. So I'm going to multiply these. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 is 10. And then I'm going to put my 0 back on. Okay, so 100 divided by 5 is 20. Okay, so if you've got a missing number at the beginning, that's how you work it out. Right, and then finally, you might have a missing number at the end. Okay, so here we can use our strategy like we did with multiplication, where we cover the 0, do 32 divided by 8 using our 8 times table, and then we'll put the 0 back on. So if I show you how to do this one, so 320 divided by 8, so I'm going to use my 8 times table, so 8, 16, 24, 32, so that's 4, and then put my 0 back on. Okay, I could check that if I wanted to using the inverse, so 8 times 4 is 32, and put my 0 back on. Okay, so pause the video now, and I want you to have a go at this one, so 550 divided by 11. So knock your 0 off and then put it back on. Right, so you should have had a go at that one. So 550 divided by 11. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. So that's 5, and then put your 0 back on. Okay, so I can do the inverse to check it. So 11 times 5 is 55, and put my 0 back on. So remember, you can always come back to this one. Pause it at different points. So remember, your missing number will either be in the middle, at the beginning, or at the end. Okay. Now, finally, there are a couple of word problems. Now, I'm not going to say you have to have a go at these because they are quite tricky, but you can if you want to. Okay, so you don't have to. I am happy for you to do section 1, section 2, and section 3 because that is quite a bit of work. Okay, but if you want to have a go at the end for a little bit of a challenge, then you can. Okay, so happy Friday. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Keep sending your work in, but have a lovely rest over the weekend. And I will see you on Monday.